and welcome to my 10th grade summer assignment history project. Hello, Mr. Tierney. You're probably watching this. The rest of the class, if you're all watching this, and we're all watching this on projector right now, probably going to be crying. I chose option 3, historical architecture, where you get to choose your own art and your own art form, in this case, a documentary, to show a historical architecture. Now, you could have chosen the Great Wall of China or Taj Mahal, all sorts of interesting structures. But the one that stood out to me the most was Petra. Now, I've heard of Petra before. I've learned about it a few years back. So I really wanted to go back and look at the forgotten city of Petra. First off, I want to declare that I did not film any of this footage. All the footage of Petra I had to pull from an internet source. I'll make sure to link that so you're able to access that if you want to give them credit. Petra, the forgotten city, often referred to as the Rose City as well. The reason it's called the Rose City, as you might have guessed already, is due to the rock it's carved out of. Carved out of. Wow. I blame Mr. Miller for that pronunciation. I must not have studied well enough for my vocab quizzes. Regardless, this is Petra. Petra lies on the slope of Jebel al-Mandala. It's a basin that's around the mountains in Jordan. It's on the eastern side of something, it's called a flank of Arabia. It's basically a large valley that's near the Dead Sea. This has remained hidden from a long time due to the mountains, which almost act as its own Great Wall of China. It's so hidden due to the mountains with these large structures in the valley it's in that it has a lot of protection, making it a very good city for not only having a safe civilization, but a military civilization as well. Now, I do not myself know a ton about Petra. I'm not a Petra student. I've only studied enough to make a summer assignment on it. That's why I wanted to make this project more interesting than just talking about Petra. You may have noticed that the start of this video started with some B-roll of my front yard. Now, that might just sound really stupid to you, and it might be stupid in the end. But I want to talk about the analogy of the... Okay, hear me out here. The Nabateans, which is the people that lived in Petra, and the insects in my front yard. Now, I don't mean to be demeaning or anything. I just want to talk about the similarities to them. First off, Petra is carved into a mountain. All these structures, these tombs, these houses, these cathedrals, they're all built into the mountain. They're not taking materials from other places and bringing them here to build them. They are taking the landscape, forming it to make their home, which is really interesting because ants outside my window do the same exact thing. I'm looking at them right now, actually. There's one named Jerry. He's pretty cute. He's kind of messing with Bob right now. Let me tell a story. Jerry and Bob, they are walking along my yard, trying to find a good place to chill, and they find a little patch of grass, and they start digging a hole, and they make a little house out of it. Now, that just might be a stupid story to you, and it pretty much is, but it's kind of what the Nabateans did. They explored Jordan. They found a valley with lots of shade, not a lot of water, which I'll get to later, but they wandered and they found a home similar to ants. That's the first similarity. And also, the Nabateans, to many other cultures, were very Nordic culture, to much other, compared to a lot of the other people in Asia at the time. Number 2. Actually, I never said number 1. Number 2 is the fact of water. Now, Jordan is not exactly in a water-filled place. Yes, there are plants and trees, and a decent amount of them in certain areas, but compared to most of the world, or most of, let's say, to North America, it's a lot less trees than what you'd see in general. It's mostly just desert. So you might be wondering, how could such a big civilization of Nabateans be so successful and have such a big city with so much structure be able to thrive being so far away from water? First off, when the city was first established, it's thought that they imported most of the goods from the coastline of Jordan, near the Dead Sea or the Gulf of Aqaba. I hope I'm saying that right. And they brought all the resources for the initial start of making camps and water, because it's hard to spend months and years carving all these structures without any supplies. So that's what they believe, is that for the first few decades they had to import a lot of goods into the place, so that way they were able to survive and make these structures. But over time they learned that there is water underground, and they were able to come up with irrigation systems that would flow into the town, giving water to not only the people but to the whole town, giving plants and making a sort of oasis in the middle of the city. We don't actually know what that looks like, but we can guess. Based on the structures and how certain if you look at specific pictures, you can see how almost canals form in the middle of the city, which is guess that water ran through there. You may be wondering, how is this related at all to my analogy, ants in my front yard? Not just ants, but other bugs, how beetles and birds and worms and all that. They dig into the ground, make ant piles, go into trees. They all make homes out of the land. They don't necessarily bring stuff from other places, yet ants do carry lots of food from picnic tables and whatnot. But a lot of the stuff they do is taking the resources from where they are. Let's talk about, for example, flowers. What they do is their seeds, they grow into the ground, and they take the nutrients from around. That's what the Nabateans did. Oh man, that's a cute cat. The Nabateans, they, at first, yes, they did the same ants do. They would take resources from the coastline, from the Dead Sea, and they would bring it, and that's what they used to get them started. That's what's at least assumed as because how would they survive without that? But over time, once they were able to support themselves with what they had the ability to take what was around them and use it to themselves. For example, the irrigation system, are able to grow plants that only grow in the desert. Those types of things made it. That's my analogy. That's part of my analogy, is how the animals and insects in my front yard compared to the Nabateans and Petra. They take what's around them and use it to their own advantage, basically, whether it's water, plants, nutrients, food, whatever. The last thing I wanted to touch on, because I'd want to keep this video somewhat short. I don't want Mr. Tyranny to get sick of my voice before class even starts. I wanted to talk about the destruction of Petra and my front yard. The insects in my front yard, let's start with that. Now, say the destruction can either be me stepping on an ant pile, which will dominate them and crush their home, or it can be a drought or flooding or snow, but we live in Texas, so it's probably not going to be that last one. All sorts of ways that will just end their society in seconds. Petra is a little different. Now, it is a huge society with, you can tell, tons of houses and tombs and irrigation systems. An incredible city. And it's hard to imagine how it could have fallen. There are lots of estimates and guesses on how the society fell. There are military reasons. There are weather conditions. No one knows exactly sure what happened, though. We have lots of educated guesses. We'll really never know. I truly believe that over time, that heat slowly increased in the area, and they had a really bad summer, and so a lot of people were forced to migrate away. And then the more people migrate away, the more people follow. And that's how ants work too. Whenever the mother moves, the queen bee moves, or the mother beetle moves, they all follow. And that's what I assume what happened. That might be ridiculous, and I might get an F on this project just for that. But that's truly what I think would happen. Thank y'all for watching. I hope that Mr. Tyranny spares my soul and doesn't show this in front of the whole class. And thank you for watching. You can check out more of my videos if you want to get saucy. And I'll make sure to link all the footage I used, which is actually only one source, and the songs I used in the description of the video. Thank y'all for watching. Y'all have a good day.